It's Wednesday, January 22nd.
Joe Biden gave a pardon yesterday to a lot of criminals.
Defending his decisions, U.S. President Donald Trump takes heat for pardoning nearly 1,600 people from the January 6th riots.
Donald Trump is, as always, a skilled negotiator.
Tariff latest, the Prime Minister speaking at a cabinet retreat in Quebec, reacting to Donald Trump's pledge that 25% tariffs on Canadian goods could start next week.
I knew what I signed up for when I got the dog, so can't complain now. She likes it, so as long as she's happy at the end of the day, I'm happy.
Bitter cold. People are feeling the chill of a polar vortex in large parts of this country. And tech troubles. Meta is facing backlash this morning after some accounts auto-followed U.S. President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and Vice President Vance on Facebook and Instagram. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Good morning, Canada. Welcome to Your Morning. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
Good morning. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
And I'm Kelsey McEwen. Happy Wednesday.
Did you check your Instagram yet this morning to see
Sure
if you're
did.
following all those three people? I sure did too, and I am automatically following all of them all of a sudden.
So am I.
Yeah.
A lot of people wondering too if it was just like an auto rollover, and so Meta's responding this morning, giving their perspective on what happened.
Lots on that coming up throughout the show today. And first full day in office for Donald Trump. U.S. President Trump is now defending his move to pardon nearly 1,600 people involved in the January 6th Capitol riots, including people who attacked and assaulted police officers.
I am the friend of police, more than any president that's ever been in this office.
So that includes people from extremist groups like the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. President Trump suggested there could be a place in politics for both groups. So far, more than 200 people have been released. President Trump also followed up on an executive order to end diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. So any workers in those offices are being placed on paid leave before being laid off. Meanwhile, thousands of people trying to enter the U.S. legally are being left in limbo right now after an app that's used to book appointments at ports of entry has now been shut down.
We're thinking about that too. We're talking about a tariff of 10% on China based on the fact that they're sending fentanyl to Mexico and Canada.
How soon on those tariffs?
Probably February 1st is the date we're looking at.
Also, President Trump saying the proposed tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico don't have anything to do with kickstarting the renegotiation of the Canada-United States-Mexico agreement. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the Trump administration wants to reopen negotiations before it comes up for review in 2026. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau continues to take a stand against Donald Trump's tariff threats against Canada.
Donald Trump is, as always, a skilled negotiator and will do what he can to keep his negotiating partners a little bit off balance.
Prime Minister Trudeau saying the Trump administration will need Canada's critical minerals if the U.S. wants to usher in this golden age that was promised on Inauguration Day. The Prime Minister also saying the federal government is prepared for every possible scenario, including using counter tariffs. According to a senior government source, Canada has a 3-round retaliation plan ready to go. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is signaling that he's ready to trigger an election, arguing he needs a louder voice to fight against U.S. tariffs.
We need a clear mandate, not for tomorrow, not for the next day, for 4 years of dealing with our American friends.
Premier Ford wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. Ford argues that a trade war with the U.S. would only benefit China. Premier Ford also emphasizing the importance of maintaining unity with the U.S., largely focusing on his Fortress AMCAN collaboration plan. Meta is in hot water after hiding search results for the word Democrats on Instagram. The company says it's working on fixing the issue, calling it a technical problem. Social media users were quick to accuse Meta of political bias after owner Mark Zuckerberg was at Donald Trump's inauguration. Meta is denying those claims. Some Facebook and Instagram users were also surprised to find themselves automatically following the accounts of Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. A Meta spokesperson says the accounts are managed by the White House and, quote, change when the occupant of the White House changes. Former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney has secured more key cabinet endorsements in his campaign to become the next Liberal leader.
I'm here to tell you today that I will be offering my support to Mark Carney.
Environment and Climate Change Minister Stephen Guilbeault is his most recent supporter. Guilbeault is promising to work with Mark Carney to find a replacement for the consumer carbon tax. Mark Carney also has endorsements from Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly and Indigenous Services Minister Patty Hajdu, and also former Housing Minister Sean Fraser. A planned power outage is being blamed for a widespread boil water advisory in the Halifax area. So here's what we know. Halifax Water says a blown fuse caused by the outage led to a disruption in its chlorination system. This was at a water treatment facility on Monday night. More than 200,000 customers are affected by this. Some hospitals were forced to reschedule surgeries. The affected areas include, you can see them there. We've got Halifax, Bedford, Upper Hammonds Plains, Fall River, Middle and Lower Sackville, Beaverbank, Spryfield, Timberlea, Herring Cove as well. People are being asked to boil water for at least 1 minute before drinking, cooking, or brushing their teeth. Oh, it's cold. You need to layer up as you head out the door if you're in parts of Ontario, Quebec, and Labrador. It is one of the coldest mornings of the year so far.
Over in Newfoundland, we get really cold winters. It's just like home.
Well, it's a little cold, but it's okay. We're Canadian.
Yeah, but it's like really cold today. Extreme cold warnings, in fact, are in place thanks to the polar vortex that is in much of the eastern half of Canada, with the Toronto area, the latest region to come under these warnings. Environment Canada is encouraging people to check in on older family members and friends during this cold snap. Pets should not stay outside for too long. Kelsey will have more international weather forecasts coming up. And then there's this, wild weather south of the border with a rare winter storm hitting the southern states. Southwest Louisiana experiencing its first ever blizzard warning. More than 2,200 flights within the U.S. were canceled, about 3,000 delayed because of the weather. Sadly, 4 people have also died because of exposure to the extreme cold. Well, champagne sales are apparently losing a bit of their fizz. Have you heard this? The number of total shipments of champagne from France dropped 10% last year. This is the second consecutive year of decline. A champagne trade association is blaming inflation and the fact that people feel like there's not as much to celebrate right now with all the economic uncertainty. The Champagne region is also dealing with its own issues. With extreme weather, it's led to smaller grape harvests in recent years. So